Hello everyone, my name is Santo, a student at the Victoria University, Kampala, doing bachelor's in information technology. I'm here to take you through a work given to us in our class of modeling and simulation, where we are told to use to simulate data using Excel and also later with SPSS. So we have question here. The question is saying we should simulate this. We should simulate data using a spreadsheet, and as we simulate the data, we will have the key point to focus on. Later, after simulating it, we will just determine the customer average time in system and then the proportion time the service is idle. Remember, the customers are 20 that we are going to, the customers will serve are 20, and the time of serving the customers will be 3 hours. And here also we are given the time interval between 1 and 15 minutes and another time interval for the service time as between 1 and 8. So let's dig in here. I have already designed the data. The data is already ready here, but I will show you how I came to this data. So the data is having the layout. The layout starts with the customer ID and arrival time, the service time, the arrival time again, and the service start time, and the service start time and the service end time, waiting time, time in system, and the idle time. So from here, we will start with the first one. Under ID, customer ID, this is just the number of, that is the ID of each and every customer. 1 represent the first customer, 2 represent the second, and so on and so forth until 20 represent the 20th customer that come to be served. The intra-arrival time is a time each and every customer arrived to the shop. Now here, to determine the intra-arrival time, you have to consider the time interval between 1 and 15. So here we will have to use a function called run between. Run between is a thing that is a function we use to determine the time interval. So we just say equal, we just click here and then we say equal run between, and then we take the past interval time, the past minute is 1, and then the limited one is 15. So here we will have to close the parentheses and we press enter. So we'll have already determined, we will have already find the intra-arrival time of the first client. And then we just come to the fill down, then we double click or click and drag down so that we get the rest of simulation for the rest of the customers. Service time also has the same replica where you can also use the same function which is run between. But now at the service time, the time interval was given before as between 1 and 8. So we'll also use the same function as run between. So we'll say equal run between, then we start with 1 comma followed by 8, and then we close the parentheses and press enter. So here we will just come to the fill down and double click so that the rest of the things are simulated. Coming to the arrival time. Arrival time, you will have to know that customers arrived at different times. The first customer's arrival time will always be taken from the initial time the customer arrived. So if immediately the customer arrived, the customer will be served. Basing on that principle, first come, first serve, if the first customer arrived, immediately he or she will be served. So here we will just take 11 as the arrival time of the first customer. Now to determine the arrival time of the second customer, we will have to know that if the first customer is served and has finished, he will leave. So we will also know that once the customer is served, he has the time he arrived and is also having the time he end, the service end. So we'll have to first determine the service time. To determine the end service time, we use a function called, we have to do what? We will have to say it is the start service time plus what? Plus the service time. So here you will get this 16, and then you carry on for the rest. Coming back to this, where you will have to determine the start service time of the second customer, it is from here where you click and you will say to get the service time of the start service time of the second customer, it is maximum of what? Maximum of the arrival time and the end time. So you just do that, and then you press enter, and then you copy the formula to the rest. Coming to the waiting time, this is the time each and every customer spend waiting to be served. So here, the past customer did not wait because immediately as he arrived, he gets served. So we take it as that. So to determine this, it will be the what? It will be the start service time minus the what? Minus the arrival time. That means you will have to get the waiting time of the customer. So it will be here, it will be that. And then you just have to drag to the rest. The time in system, this is the time the customer spent while being served. So it is also determined by subtracting the what? The service end time by subtracting the arrival time from what? From the service end time, and you will get the what? You will get the time in system. Coming to the idle time, this is the time the server, the one serving the customers, will spend idle without doing anything. So here you will have to take it as idle for, I mean as constant for the past customer, because past customer did not wait. Immediately as he arrives, he gets served. So we will take it as 0. Then now we determine for the second customer. The second customer waited as the past customer is being served. So we will have to use a function that says equal maximum of what? Of the past customer, and we also subtract what? Subtract the service end time from the arrival time. So you will get what? The idle time of the second customer. Then you just copy the formula to the rest. Now, the major focal point is to determine the average customer time in service and the percentage of idle time. To get the percentage time, it is just to get the average of what? To get the average of in service, I mean in system time, in system time. So you will just say equaled average of in system time from the past customer to customer number 20. You just drag there, and then you just close the parentheses and hit enter. The answer will be this, will be 5.3, depending on the numbers, I mean the minutes. And then coming to the percentage idle time is determined by getting the sum of what? The sum of the idle time, and then divide by what? Divided by the service end time and multiplied by 100. So you will get the percentage idle, and hence the answer is 42.285 recurring. Now, as we finish with this, we were also told to do what? To replicate the data for another 50 clients. Replicating the data for another 50 clients, we will have to also create another variables where we will have replication, the average time in service, the percentage idle time, and now for replications, we will just take just like the customer ID. The past one will represent the past customer, 2, second customer, 3 for the third customer, etc. up to 50. They are supposed to be 50. And then from here, we will have to determine the average time in service. Remember, under sheet 1, we calculated the average time in service for all the customers. So it is on sheet 1. So we will use a function here in this cell. We will click and we'll say equal sheet 1, because sheet 1 is where the data is. And then in sheet 1, we calculated the average time in system or in service. So we calculated it under K1, which is here. If you are to prove, it is here. The K1, the cell K1. So that's where we have the answer of the average time. So we will have to use that. We will say equal sheet 1, and then we search for K1. That is where we have our average, and then we hit enter, and then we just carry on. We copy the formula to the rest. Similarly with the what? With the percentage idle time, it is the same sheet 1 and K2, because immediately the percentage idle time is calculated under after average time. So it is there. Just use the same function. The difference will be K1 and then this one will be K2. But all from sheet 1. You're bringing them from sheet 1 to here. So that is how you determine. After this, we were told also to do what we call simulation using data table. Now, if you have finished with the replication, you will have to highlight all of this. You will have to highlight all of your data. After highlighting it up to the 50, so you will come to data tool here, click data, and then after you click data, you will come to what if analysis. From what if analysis, you click the drop down, and then you come to data table. Click the data table, you will be given this you will be given this interface. In the first row, you don't need to put something, but in the second column, this is where we will have to determine where we want to do the simulation. But we were not given a specification of what to simulate. So we just click anywhere here and then we hit enter. So that is how we use the data table to simulate. So from here, the thing is done. So after that, we are now done with what? With the simulation. So thank you once again for paying attention, and I hope to also meet you later in the second video where we will be also simulating data using SPSS, and the data will be downloaded from Kaggle, and we will use it to simulate the rest of the thing. Thank you.